Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Valley of the Judged. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me is my three-eyed brother of way too many dad jokes, good brother Joe.
Hello.
Sizer is unfortunately taking the night off since he's dealing with a health issue. He's not sick, but he's not well. Is the way I would put it.
That's the way I put it.
So last time around, we tackled the classes for about 3.5 hours. I wasn't planning on going that long, but it was a case of I couldn't figure out a way to split it, so just fuck it, we ball. And one of the things that I had talked about, and I'd also done a tweet about in the time afterwards, was even though a lot of the classes and subclasses here are neat, I couldn't shake the feeling that a lot of them were straight up rejiggering um, D&D 5e classes with
I mean,
some of
they
this.
are.
A lot of them very much are, with not a lot of stuff that feels like it's uniquely tailored to Phantasy Star.
Mm-hmm.
The one exception to, and some of the classes had stuff that made us go, "What the fuck were you thinking?" Bound looking at you, Hunter, with the whole concentration for Hunter's mark, the thing that made you blow a damn gasket last week.
It shouldn't be concentration!
I know some will say, well, the mark spell in 5e is concentration. Yeah, it sucks there too.
Listen, I get it. If for people who don't know what Phantasy Star is, you want to introduce them to Phantasy Star if they're familiar with D&D. I get it. At the same time, you don't have to fall for the same traps.
Yeah, I'm trying. We did do a letter grade for each of the ones. I'm trying to recall which ones we gave what, but like Guardian, I will admit that with the way it handles Fury Strike, which is basically its smite, I like that you have a 30-foot teleport. Um, I noticed that there's still a lot of cases of over relying on the short rest long rest thing. I don't remember if you were here for this,
Yeah.
but the problem that I have with that is if you're going to have things limited by that kind of thing, the feature should have a lot more oomph than it does. And moreover,
Pretty much.
I don't. Given that with some of them you can get additional rest by spending technique points, I don't know why that wasn't a universal thing. Like either technique points or a hero dice.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but
Like, I appreciate that. Don't get me wrong. Like, thank you for not just making it cooldown, but also allowing me to use resources for it, even though my resources are limited. At the very least, I can choose.
but I think one thing you did bring up, and this was definitely the case as we went further in, when it came to the subclasses or paths, there was one that clearly had more attention than the other, and the other one felt more like just a reskin of an existing subclass.
One is the favorite child, and the other one was adopted.
Yeah. For example, with Guardian, Slayer was definitely the favorite child. Turning your Guardian into a Paladin Monk hybrid. Um, with Hunter, I'd say Vanguard was the favorite child.
Yeah, I would say so.
Mm-mm. And Ranger is...
Hold on, I'm gonna have to scroll back in order to take a look at some of these again as well.
Yeah. And Ranger was nice, but at the end, but some of them, some of the features are a case of really you're getting that, like with Ranger at
I'll be honest. I'll be honest. A lot of this, they didn't even need the paths. They really didn't. Instead, what they should have done, very similarly to a Draw Steel, was they should have just given you choices at the level, the level that you gain the subclass options of, okay, do you want this option or this option? And then let people customize that way. That way you can add more options without having to struggle to think of a path.
Yeah. I have seen some people say that the way specializations worked in 4th edition is reincarnated with these subclasses in 5th. anyone who says that didn't play fourth or only knows fourth from surface level shit that other people said. I guarantee you that. Because that wasn't the vibe I had with fourth. I will be come out and say it. For as much as people try to do the fourth edition feels too much like an MMO, 5e feels too much like an MMO if I'm being honest. Specifically, a very simplified theme park style one. You know, Mist post Pandaria, World of Warcraft.
Fair enough.
You know, where all of the talent trees got nixed.
If I remember correctly, Dungeons and Dragons Online came out roughly the same time as 4th edition?
No.
No?
DDO came out in 2005. And it was using the 3rd edition rule set. I think it was 2005.
No, I'm thinking of Neverwinter.
Yeah, Neverwinter was loosely based on the 4th edition rule set, but loosely is the operative word, and there's a bit of a reputation with Perfect World Entertainment.
Yeah, I know.
But
crumble.
You know, the Mystic is very much trying to be the monk, just without key, and instead having Flurry of Blows be a on a charge basis.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to the two paths, Order seems to be the favored child.
Yes, because it's a slightly improved what was it? The one that heals. Not Long Death.
I was gonna say Open Palm.
No. Is it? No. Open Palm is the one that has a lot of the it's not Open Hand. It's Mercy.
Mm-hmm.
It's essentially a slightly better monk.
Yeah. You know, Operative is very much the rogue, and of the two paths, Investigator we felt was the more interesting one and definitely the favorite child, whereas Thief is just the typical D&D rogue.
Like, out of all of the rogue subclasses you could have chosen, why Thief?
I guess to placate those who want something D&D like, but if you want something D&D like, why the fuck are you playing Phantasy Star?
Like, I'm so sorry. There are so many other options that you could have chosen for a roguelike subclass for this, aside from Thief. Because the only time Thief has ever been interesting has been in Baldur's Gate 3, where it gives you an extra bonus action.
Which, on the Baldur's Gate 3 wiki, there's a whole page just dedicated to the changes from 5e proper to what they did. Because even they knew that you needed to do these kind of overhauls. But some of the other ones that they could have done, you know, Assassin, you know, Operative doesn't have much in the way of combat abilities besides sneak attack as it is. Arcane Trickster, let them gish a little bit. And I'll get to that.
I mean, everything else is a gish.
Swashbuckler. Why the fuck not?
Yeah, why not?
You know,
Phantom.
Mm-hmm. Phantom
or Soul Knife.
Yeah, fucking Soul Knife. I'm not saying go with them 1 for 1, but Thief is boring. Especially if you're trying to convince me that this isn't just a reskin of the Rogue. Investigator, at the very least, feels closer to Mastermind, I guess.
Yeah, it's very Mastermind coded.
And this particular style of operative as a detective that is something I could see in this kind of setting. Savant, in its core, has some DNA um, of cleric, and we also found out that the whole prime technique thing, that is this game's version of cantrips. But Savant is the only core class that feels like it has a uniquely Phantasy Star identity.
Yes.
It was also where we found out the whole advanced technique thing, where techniques ranked 6 through 9. Oh, and hey there, Ferb.
Hello?
Hey,
Hey there, we're
How you doing?
I heard a little bit and I agree.
Yep. But,
Was
Joe,
getting
what-
things ready here.
Joe, what did you think of the whole thing with advanced techniques of you get one for each rank, but you can only use them once per rest?
They
For long
combined us. It's essentially Warlock. Like it's the mystic whatchamacallit from Warlock.
Problem is, I'm not big on mixing a Vancian charge with spell points. But between the two savant paths, the one that seemed to be more interesting of the two was Machinist,
Mm-hmm.
which feels like equal parts anti-machine enemies and Netrunner.
Like in Force the Savant, I honestly have to say both of them are viable. There is no favorite child here. It's just more one fulfills a better role than the other, unlike the others.
Yeah. Thaumaturge is very much the wizard.
Yeah.
And including all of the lack of unique effects of the wizard class. And the Esper just seems to be trying to dip a little bit into sorcerer, though not enough.
Yeah.
Force on the
Spell
other
splicing.
hand, Force on the other hand is Blade Singer. It's fucking Blade Singer.
Yeah. Nope, that's definitely what it is.
Yeah. And Warrior is it is very much the fighter.
It's fighter.
Just with slightly fewer well, I put a pin on the whole weapon mastery thing for when we get to equipment. But
Mhm.
Commando is Battle Master, and and Paragon is Champion.
Yeah.
So in the case of the Warrior, neither of them win out.
It's less one of them is the favorite child and more both of them are basic bitch.
Like, I
Yep.
like Battle Master. I've had people tell me Battle Master, as I mentioned during the Draw Steel overview. I've had people tell me Battle Master is the successor to the Warlord. It's not, and anyone who says it is wrong. And but the problem with Warrior has been a problem for the longest time, except for the one time it wasn't, has been being a one-trick pony. And one of the damning things that I noticed, unless I missed something, there's no feats in this game.
Yeah.
Or no equivalent to feats.
Oh, that is indeed what it looks like. Let me just take a quick look at something here. Yeah. There are no. Well, hold on. Let me take a look at the index just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Because thankfully we have an index. Yeah, it doesn't look like there is anything of the equivalence to feats.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know some might say, "Well, no, nobody picks feats anyways. Why would you? Why would you make a big deal out of that?"
I always pick feats. What are you on about?
The prob I have been very much of the belief that the way feats work in 5e is a masterclass in missing the point.
Hmm.
Feats, when they were introduced in third, and yes, I know I'm going somewhere with this. The idea was to allow people to have a way to further customize their character beyond your choice of race, class, and spells.
Hmm.
Now, things got way out of hand, as everyone knows, because of the ridiculous traps that were put in there. Um, there were more traps and reverse traps than a shonen anime.
I was about to say a standard Yu-Gi-Oh duel, but okay.
Oh, a standard Yu-Gi-Oh duel or a whorehouse in Thailand.
Hey.
Yeah.
But going the complete opposite route with the whole feats as an ASI alternative was not the right call. And it was so much not the right call that several classes have what may as well be feats in all but name. I'm looking explicitly at you, Warlock. A lot of those evocations are basically feats. and
Yep.
and I will not be convinced otherwise.
Nor should you be, because you're correct.
Mm-mm. And Tales of the Valiant has tried to address the issue, but of course the other issue is only four opportunities to personalize your character in that way. Period.
Mm-hmm.
This is the reason why I say that 5e feels more like a sandbox MMO, not sandbox theme park style MMO than 4th edition ever could. Because in a lot of theme park style MMOs, the personalization is somewhat restricted, where you're on a much more linear path. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but as the saying goes, don't piss on my head and tell me it's raining. But this is the reason why I had made a comparison between this and Star Wars D20.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the classes in Star Wars D20 or Star Wars Revise very much have that feel of trying to turn D&D classes into archetypes for Star Wars, whereas Saga Edition felt like taking the skeleton of the D20 system and building it around Star Wars. And I don't relish...
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm offended. I'm going to take my Wookiee Drunken Master elsewhere.
I don't relish being that harsh on it, but that's the vibe that I ended up getting throughout. But then we get to equipment. Now, obviously, a lot of equipment's going to get skimmed tonight, mostly because of the fact that there's not a whole lot to dissect regarding the cost of a 10-foot pole or something like that. But
yeah, okay.
Obviously the currency is Meseta or MST.
I love MST 3000.
Fun fact: I used to live nearby where that was filmed when it was during the Paragon era. Back when Paragon cable was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but then we have carrying capacity, which is based on your strength and your size.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a item grade setup for the rarity of items as well as the suggested level of them. So grade 0 is common, grade 1 is uncommon, grade 2 is rare, grade 3 is very rare, and grade 4 is epic, with the suggested levels being...
Oh, what do you mean I can't have a starting level character with an epic equipment? Oh, man.
Suggested level is 1, 3, 7, 11, and 16, respectively. And then we get to weapons. So we have a fairly standard setup of weapons. Like, I kind of wish there were more. It is amusing that a slasher is considered a ranged weapon.
You do throw it.
Mm-hmm.
And the slashers are basically steel boomerangs.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
But
Maybe the Japanese just thought the name slasher was nice. That's the confusion from maybe.
mm-hmm. But then we have the column of mastery. If you have mastery with a weapon, you gain access to its mastery feature in this column. Each mastery feature is defined in the mastery features section. Of course, now some of the properties are pretty standard. Ammunition, self-explanatory, concealed. You have advantage when trying to conceal it. Finesse, you can use strength or dex for attack and damage roll. You have to use both. You have to use the same modifier for both rolls. Focus means it counts. You count as having a free hand when casting techniques. We'll get to that later. Heavy, you have disadvantage if your strength mod is 0 or lower. Looks like the only one that has heavy is greatsword and rifle. Which makes me wonder what kind of rifle are you trying to wield with? Are you trying to wield with that? Are you trying to do?
BFG.
It's the light. You can make
Hey,
one extra.
sci-fi could be a BFG.
Let's see, the light property, you can take one extra attack as a special action. Special action is their version of bonus action, which I will admit I have a problem with the fact that only one bonus action is allowed in that action economy when there's so many things that give you as a bonus action. And if it's
same trap that 5th edition falls into, I'm seeing the pattern.
And do I want one character to have 11 or so actions all at once? No. But at the very least, let them have opportunities to full of their kit instead of forcing them to pick something as a bonus instead of something as a bonus action that doesn't feel like a bonus. But let's see, light weapons giving an extra attack. All right, fine. I do think the whole you can't add your ability modifier to the damage roll of the extra attack is kind of lame, but I thought that was lame in 5e too, so let's see, reach adds 5 feet, thrown can be used to make a ranged attack, two-handed requires 2 hands, versatile, if you use it an extra hand you get +1. I always felt that just a +1 for using it with both hands was kind of underwhelming.
At least change the damage dice. Come on.
I've always house ruled that you just step up the damage die by 1 as a trade-off for the fact that you can't use a shield.
Like a lot of the other weapons in older editions, like the longsword or things like that, would actually give you different damage dice if you're using one-handed or two-handed. So I don't see why they just don't do the same thing here.
Plus, a +1's
Yep.
not going to feel all that impactful.
Hmm.
And we've seen plenty of times where somebody decides, you know what, I'm going to use both hands on this and end up changing up how hard they hit. But let's be honest, a lot of people who play Apologism for 5e's brand of combat don't know shit about fighting. But
Yeah.
then we have the mastery features, and this was something I wanted to take a look at because several of the martial classes get mastery features. They get a mastery feature with one weapon, and what I wanted to see is whether or not it was worth it, especially in the case of, say, fighter, because the argument can be made, oh, they get more mastery features than anyone else. So let's see what we have. Burst, which is only on the pistol. Once per turn as an attack action, you can target up to 3 creatures within 5 feet of each other and within this weapon's range. You must expend 1 piece of ammunition per target. Each target makes a dex save, DC 8 plus your attack power with the weapon. On a failed save, it takes the weapon's damage, but don't add your ability modifier to the damage. The last part's kind of lame.
Unless it's negative.
Still lame.
It is. But if your ability modifier is negative, I think you're using the wrong weapon.
It's more that I don't see why they have to have the whole thing of not adding your ability modifier. I feel like that's a bit of a punishment. Let's see. Then we have Cleave. Good old Cleave. So when you hit, you can make a attack against the second creature within 5 feet. That's also within your reach. And again, you don't add the ability modifier for that second attack. I mean, it's a step up from you get an extra attack when you drop somebody, but only barely. Let's see. Flurry. When you make
I can't keep on doing it. Darn.
When you make an extra attack granted by the light weapon property, you can make it as a part of the attack action instead of a special action. Only once per turn. Okay.
So does this mean I can also do a special action attack?
I would say yes. And Flurry seems to only be on the dagger, whereas Cleave is only on the greatsword.
Okay, I call bullshit that it's not on the claw, but I understand why. But I still call bullshit.
Yep. Then we have Mark. When you hit a creature with this weapon and deal damage, you have advantage on your next attack roll against it.
Which is only on the bow.
Okay. Let's see. Rend, when you score a
Wait, hold on. Burst is on the pistol.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. With Rend, when you score a crit and deal damage,
It is.
Okay, this is triple crit instead for Rend, which because it's tied to criticals, and there's not an expanded critical for daggers, which is the main thing that has it.
Well, no, Rend is on claw.
Yeah, Rend is on claw. What am I saying? Dagger has flurry.
Yeah.
Then we have Sap. When you hit a creature with this weapon, that creature has disadvantage on its next attack roll before the start of your next turn. Sap is
Which is the rod.
Okay. Then Smash. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with this weapon and deal damage to it, you can re-roll one of the weapon's damage dice. You must use the new roll. Axe is the only thing that has Smash.
Isn't that just one of the mastery feats from 5th edition? Like piercer, slasher, etc., etc.
I think. I think that's in the 2020.
No, that's two-handed mastery. It's two-handed mastery. What
Yeah.
am I thinking?
Mm-hmm. So then snipe, your ranged attacks ignore half cover and 3/4 cover.
Rifle,
Mm-hmm.
sniper, obviously. Yeah, that makes sense.
Sunder, when you score a critical hit with this weapon or reduce a creature to 0 HP with it, you can immediately make one attack with the same weapon as a special action. This is the OG cleave.
It's cleave.
Let's see
Yep.
what has Sunder.
It's just cleave.
And
Hold on. Why does sword get a better cleave than the great sword?
I look at this as a consequence of this idea that each weapon needs to have one mastery exclusively, and I'm going to demonstrate that in a minute when I finish with this list. But the last one is volley. When you hit a creature with this weapon and deal damage to it, you can make a ranged attack with this weapon against up to 2 other creatures within 5 feet of the first and within your weapon's range. On a hit, they take weapons damage, but don't add your ability modifier.
Which is the slasher.
Yep, slasher is the only one that gets volley. And
there's one thing I want to say about the slasher before you continue.
Go ahead.
It doesn't have a range increment to it.
Yeah, slasher's range.
The rifle.
is 60.
Okay.
Is it? Where does it say that?
Range, feet. The third column
What?
from the left is where all the ranges are.
Okay. All right. I was like looking desperately for it, and I'm like, is it in the explanation of the weapon? Where is it? I am so sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be weird.
I'm just blind. I'm sorry. The third eye is not working at the moment.
Mm-hmm. But let me. So, while I know some people don't like it, I want to invoke Tales of the Valiant.
Okay.
And the reason I'm specifically invoking this is to show that I'm not biased. I'm not as anti 5e biased as some might think. I mean, obviously I have problems with 5e, but this particular issue was addressed with Tales of the Valiant, and I will show it as soon as my PDF decides to cooperate with me. But there was a kind of within Tales of the Valiant, there is a kind of weapon art system.
Mm-hmm.
Each weapon has 2 weapon action options that you can do as an alternative to doing damage, unless you're the fighter who can do both with the same action. Which I think one of them was trip. There were a few others. But it basically means that the fighter is able to have that versatility that it supposedly is supposed to have. But and hang on a minute.
Mildra,
Yeah.
the masteries feel like they don't matter when you read further into the weapons, because the weapons have additional properties that kind of add to it, which makes no sense to me if you're also having masteries.
Pretty much. So, now that we've seen what the masteries do, I think this is as good a time as any to ask and answer the question: are the masteries worth it as a class feature for some of the classes that we saw? And
No.
it sounds like the answer is no. I have my own
Yeah,
theories
no.
as to why the answer is no, but Joe, why would you say the answer is no?
Because, like I said, if we read further, the additional properties on a lot of these weapons also require you to have the masteries. So there's no point in having both additional properties and masteries. You might as well just give them whole hog.
And I'm assuming you're talking about what starts at weapon grades.
Yes.
So let's see, a damage bonus, then special properties, and going with weapon types, special properties. Yeah, if the idea with weapon masteries is that you're better at wielding this weapon than normal adventurers, I don't see why those additional properties shouldn't, and I think this is what you're getting at, couldn't be just folded into the masteries.
Exactly. Like, for example, right? Like the axe one kind of doesn't matter in this case because axe, your mastery is smash, which again, you hit a creature, you can re-roll one of the weapon's damage dice. But the additional property of an axe is you gain a bonus damage against ranged attacks equal to the weapon's grade. Whatever. That doesn't matter. Bows. At grade 3 or higher, the attacks ignore half cover. You have 10 feet 10 feet of range increase per grade. And then bows also have the, what is it, volley? No. Mark.
Mm-hmm. Have mark, and
Which...
default range is 90 feet.
Yeah. So, mark is hit a creature with the weapon and deal damage to it. You have advantage on your next attack roll. So, this feels like the additional properties feel like they should be part of the mastery feature. Because if someone doesn't know what they're doing with the bow and they're using it anyway, they shouldn't get the additional properties.
Yep.
Like for the claws, like the additional properties is you can draw or sheath it as with another weapon as part of your attack action, which feels like something that you should only be able to do if you know what you're bloody doing. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah. Then we have the fangs, which are meant to be used by musk cats.
Which is a variant of the claws, yeah.
You get +2 to damage rolls, and they can make the extra attack granted by a light weapon with the fang as if they were wielding a second light weapon. Okay. Then...
Which, understandable, musk cats can only really hold things in their mouth.
Yes.
See, then daggers, which they gain a bonus to agility equal to the grade. If you're wielding more than one dagger, you choose which one provides the bonus. But there's the variant fists, which fists do not have the thrown property. When you attack using a fist, you can choose the grapple and shove options as if you're making an unarmed strike. When it comes to these variant weapon types, I don't quite understand why they are variants and why they couldn't just be another row on on the equipment list. Because the equipment list is pretty
Right?
small as is.
And different weapons can have the same mastery. I don't understand.
But then we have great swords, which give the additional property of when a creature hits you with an attack, you can take a reaction to reduce the damage dealt by an amount equal to this weapon's grade. Yeah, but that's damage reduction 1 through 4. That's kind of lame.
Mm-hmm.
We have the
Oh, but look at their variant.
Yeah, partisans. It's a polearm. Why couldn't we just have a polearm weapon entry? Why does this have to be a greatsword variant? Add the reach and replace cleave with sunder, which only further illustrates my point about how one mastery per weapon type creates more problems than it solves. Let's see, then pistol has the additional property of when wielding a pistol in one hand, you get +2 to attack power with it. At grade 2, you can target one additional creature with the burst mastery feature for a total of 4. Then again at grade 4 for a total of 5.
So again, that particular additional property requires you to have the mastery.
Mm-hmm. And the variant being gunblades.
I didn't think this through.
I'm sorry.
Did I miss something?
It's a pistol with a freaking bayonet. That's all it is.
Yeah, I am pretty sure that Warframe had that as well for its quote unquote gunblade.
It did. It did. I'm sorry, that tickles me pink. It's like, here, have a variant. What is it? We added a bayonet to it. Isn't that just an add-on? It's not its own weapon type. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. Okay.
We also have a side thing about weapon damage by grade I wanted to look into. Instead of adding the damage bonus from a weapon's grade, you can change the weapon's damage dice instead, as defined by the table below. Refer to the base damage of the weapon at grade 0, and replace it with the damage dice listed for the corresponding grade. Why not use this approach?
Right?
Like I think this kind of thing is going to have a bigger impact on players than plus X damage.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Especially since I feel like it's going to feel like their weapons are improving beyond just managing a bunch of static mods. Mm-hmm. Then we have rifles.
Mm-hmm.
So at grade 1, if you hit a creature within 30 feet of you and deal damage, you can treat any 1 or 2 as a 3. This range increases to 60 feet at grade 2, 90 feet at grade 3, 120 feet at grade 4. A variant type is Vulcans, also referred to as shots, which can fire multiple beams or bursts in a wide arc.
Machine gun.
Let's see, range is 60 feet. Replace the snipe feature with the burst mastery. No, this is a shotgun.
No, that's right. That's right. I saw multiple beams or bursts, and I'm thinking it's repeatedly firing, but no, you're right.
It's more like a bone stick.
Yeah. Remember, folks, shop smart. Shop S-Mart.
Shop S-Mart.
Right.
Let's see, then rods. Whenever you finish a short or long rest, you gain temporary TP equal to 5 times the weapon's grade. If you have more than one rod, you must choose which one provides the bonus. Temporary TP function in the same way as temp HP. While wielding this weapon, you gain a bonus to saving throws against techniques equal to the weapon's grade. If you're wielding more than one rod, you must choose which one provides the bonus.
You know, I kind of want to do a house rule with this as opposed to just the +1, because the +1 through 4, because that feels very underwhelming, and utilize like the 1d4 through etc. from the variant weapon damage by grade instead. Because I feel that would give you a little more bang for your buck and feel a little more satisfying. But that's just me.
Yeah. I remember when I covered the original Legend system a long time ago. I'd said it felt kind of lame that regardless of all the add-ons you do to your weapon, the damage die is always still 1d6. But of course, then we have slashers, which have the additional properties of being within 5 feet of an enemy doesn't impose disadvantage on your attack rolls with this weapon. And at grade 2, when using the volley mastery feature, you can target up to 3 creatures within 10 feet of the first. At grade 4, the additional creatures can be within 20 feet of the first.
Where do you hold the slasher?
That's what you wear gloves for.
Yeah, and I imagine they stay in a belt.
Then we have swords, which have the additional property of when wielding a sword in one hand and no other, you get a +1 to defense. And when you score a critical hit, you can deal extra damage equal to the weapon's grade. When it comes to something like this is where I feel the weapon damage by grade would have a much better impact. Because otherwise you're doing 1 to 4 extra damage after doing something that by default has a 5% chance of success.
Yeah. Oh, look, there's a variant where you're wielding 2 blades. Oh,
Nope.
no, never mind.
Nope, this is the double-ended saber, which was rare as balls to get in PSO. So you replace the versatile weapon with versatile property with two-handed. You remove Sunder, and when you attack with this weapon as part of the attack action, you can take a special action to immediately after it make 1 extra attack with it. You don't add your ability modifier to that attack's damage unless the modifier is negative. I know we've seen this a lot, but this whole thing of you don't add your ability modifier to extra attack's damage unless negative, I feel like I will say it again, that feels kind of lame.
It's the 2-weapon fighting rules, unfortunately. And the only way you got around that in D&D is with the 2-weapon fighting style. Oh wait, fighting styles aren't a thing in...
Yeah.
Sorry.
So then we go into armor, which is on a grade setup, has a base defense. So this is what your base defense is when wearing this armor. The classic and PSO names a strength requirement and whether or not it has disadvantage on stealth. So standard armor, But here's
And
where
then
things
depending on
get.
the grades, you add the grades bonus to your defense as well.
So why not just write the calculation in the chart? Oh,
Why not indeed?
Good question.
but then we have the
Yeah, I had to take a good long look at the armor calculations when I was looking at Mystic because of how they worded their extra defense feature.
yeah. Let me go back and look at extra defense.
Or I can't remember the exact name of it. 1 second. It's basically their unarmored defense, except they're not unarmored. It's what is it called again? Defense training, where you gain a bonus to your defense equal to half your wisdom modifier.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, they have proficiency only in light armor, so it's their light armor plus half their wisdom.
Plus their dex mod.
Mm-hmm.
But
So light armor is going to be 11 plus dex mod plus half their wisdom for them, plus whatever the grade of the armor is.
so because of honestly, we have a repeat of the problem that I mentioned before, where the way these armors are set up is still far too D&D coded, i.e.,
Mhm.
still far too coded for
That's
a
true.
high fantasy setting, not a science fantasy setting.
Pretty much.
And I feel like that's definitely the case with shields.
Mm-hmm.
Is Feel free to correct me, but I can't think of any character in any Fantasy Star that wielded the equivalent of a kite shield.
You're about right.
Can't think of one now.
Because a good majority of them either wielded a weapon in each hand or wielded a two-handed weapon.
Yeah, I think shields were akin to the way shields are in like Knights of the Old Republic, where it's more of an energy shield or a deflector than anything else. But the point is that sort of when you're dealing with science fiction and science fantasy and doing shields, most people are not going to view them the way they would, say, a heater or a kite shield in a fantasy setting.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when energy firearms are going to be relatively common. And in fact, one of the OGs already had a decent answer to this question in Dune, where the energy shields in that provide a lot of protection, but they're not perfect and have one major flaw if you know what you're doing. But then it goes into light, medium, and heavy armor. The amount of time it takes to take on or take off armor. And then the same thing with shields, which have a bonus of defense of 1 plus its grade. and see it, and with that defense bonus, it is auto-calculated on the chart. So what the hell? But then we have consumables, which are about what you'd expect. Though each one has different grades. I do like the grade system that we have here. I just think that the way that it's used could use some work. And of course, accessories. And the consumables and accessories definitely feel like something I would see in Phantasy Star.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But some of the accessories in other games would have been magic items, like the silver,
Yeah.
like the dimensional backpack, which it's a fucking bag of holding.
Bag of holding.
Or the wind scarf, which is definitely a scarf that lets you cast Gizan with 5 charges. But
That's what is Gizan? That's the
Gizan is just a
problem with
wind
Phantasy
spell.
Star spells. I never really know which one is which. Hmm.
Takes a while to remember.
But then we have the variant of caster kits, and I do remember this being that I briefly brought this up last week. That these could be used by androids if in lieu of androids not being able to use techniques, much like say casts in online.
Mm-hmm.
So a caster kit is a grade 1 accessory. Its grade can be increased by spending or by finding upgrade parts. At grade 1, a caster kit has 3 charges, which can be spent with a use action. You can regain a certain number of charges after a long rest.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a attack bonus and save DC for when using techniques through it. And we have things like the Battlecaster kit, which at each grade has different techniques and charge costs for those techniques. The disadvantage of using one of these kits is that you can't expend TP to boost the rank of these spells. They are very fire and forget. So one for Battlecaster, one for Protector. I kind of wish there were more than just those two.
Like ones for buffing and debuffing, things like that.
Yes, would be useful.
Yep. So then we have the miscellaneous gear, which is exactly what it sounds like. And a lot of it is what I would expect.
Oh look, ammunition. That thing people forget or even don't want to bother with.
Whenever it came to ammunition, I always used the approach that was used in the Black Hack, if you've played that.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, instead of tracking individual bits of ammunition and similar consumables had a usage die. Whenever you'd use that thing, you'd roll the usage die, and you would hope you didn't roll a 1. If you rolled a 1, the die would go down 1 grade. If you rolled a 1 after it was D4, you're out. So you might have a quiver of arrows that has a usage die of, say, D10. You roll a 1 on that after using ammo, it goes down to D8, then D6, then D4. You get the idea. I thought it was a nice way to have ammunition in a way that didn't fall into the same trap as ammunition normally does that leads to people not using it. Well, it's the same reason that I have consumables and ammunition abstracted. That sort of simulation play works for a very specific kind of audience, and I'm not sure a game like Phantasy Star is that audience.
Yeah.
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 That is more for the torchbearer crowd, and
Point.
we already have that in games like, well, Torchbearer.
Yep.
Then we have the equipment packs, which are always nice when you need somebody to get the ground running. Then we have tools, which each one has what skills you can use for checks, what you can use it with, and what you can craft with. Hey, we actually have crafting items in the core book. What a fucking concept!
Yay!
Instead of leaving it blank so that people can come up with their own versions, Crawford. Dear Lord,
That's progress.
Then some other particular tools. Then we have vehicles, which vehicles have a category. The average speed per turn, how many passengers it seats, and inventory space, not including the passengers themselves. So we have them under beast mounts, groundcraft, and watercraft. I know one I'd say, where's spacecraft? That comes later. And in fact, later in the series, we'll be getting into vehicles in combat, which is why those vehicle proficiencies are going to be useful. And I think we talked about it when we were covering proficiencies. The choice between being proficient in a game set and being proficient in a vehicle is going to skew towards vehicles for a lot of people. But then we have expenses, so lifestyle expenses and the like, which I rarely see most people use because that's a little too in the weeds for the kind of game that something like this is. Again, that kind of simulationism I don't think is a good fit. Then travel and leisure services, self-explanatory there. 15 meseta for a movie? Jeez, and I thought getting a ticket these days was pricey.
I mean, 15 meseta isn't that much. I mean, it costs 10 meseta in order to get a blanket, so you know.
Fair.
Admittedly, it costs 20 meseta in order to get a bunch of traveling clothes, so...
Yeah. But then we get to techniques. So techniques, for those uninitiated, are Phantasy Star's equivalent to spells. I am glad that we're using technique points. I am not so glad that we're still using the concentration rules.
It's not like they had concentration in Phantasy Star.
Now, when it comes to casting techniques, you need to have at least one freehand. A exception to the rule is if you have a mastery, if you have mastery weapon with the focus property, so rods. You also have to be trained with armor, which means that because of the way armor training works, I don't think you're gonna have the Magic Knight archetype here.
What do you mean? We have plenty of gishes.
Which I mean not have somebody wearing heavy armor but being able to cast, which would be something that you could really fill that particular niche in if you had feats, or for that matter, if we're just gonna go with the basic ass subclasses for warrior, why not have Eldritch Knight?
Right? If everybody else is a gish, why not the warrior?
Gish archetypes were fairly common in the video games. So I'm like, what's stopping you from letting everybody use, at the very least, first to fifth level techniques in this system? Or if nothing else, just give them a few prime techniques. I mean, those can be cast without spending technique points anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the cost by rank, prime techniques don't cost any. Rank 1, 4 points. Rank 2, 6 points. Rank 3, 10 points. Rank 4, 12 points. Rank 5, 14 points. Rank 6, 18 points. Rank 7, 20 points. Rank 8, 22 points. Rank 9, 26. Not exactly a standard escalating formula, but okay, I can deal. You can spend 4 technique points to boost the rank of a technique by 1 rank. But you can't boost the technique past your max tech rank for whatever level you're at. So if you're a 4th level savant, you could boost one of your rank 1 techniques to rank 2, but that's as far as you're going.
Oh.
Rank 6 or higher techniques are advanced ones. Those have limited casting, as mentioned. And if you rank boost something to rank 6 or higher, you have to finish a long rest before you can cast a technique at that rank again. So essentially, you only have 1 shot at rank 6 through 9, which I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, that's weird.
I can understand it with techniques that are 6 through 9, but if you're boosting to that rank, I don't see why that also takes up the 1 slot that you have.
There shouldn't be any reason for that, especially since you're already using up technique points in order to get it that high. Like, the cost alone should be a reason enough not to do it more than once, unless you absolutely want to, but yeah.
Yeah. But then we have Limit Breach, which is just close enough to Limit Break to make me tilt my head. So you can only perform a Limit Breach if a feature allows you to, such as the Savant's feature at level 7, which, let me refresh my memory on that feature. So, let's see, Savant.
Let's take a look.
I don't see...
What is it called again?
Limit Breach.
You can only do limit breach when you're using what feature?
They said an example of a Savant's Limit Breach feature gained at level 7. But I don't see
Potent...
that.
No. Yeah. What?
You know what?
Maybe they meant thaumaturge? Limit
Probably
breach is
because-
thaumaturge.
Yeah. So what the hell?
As a special action, you can perform a limit breach, allowing you to cast techniques when you are low on TP.
Yeah. So you can perform it a number of times equal to your tech ability modifier, and you regain uses after a long rest. So so since we're specifically talking thaumaturge, that feature it's going to be intelligence that they're going to be using for their techniques. When performing a limit breach, you draw additional energy from within to power a technique for which you don't have enough TP left to cast. For example, if you want to cast a rank 2 technique but have only 4 TP remaining, you could perform a limit breach to gain those additional TP. It can't be used to cast a technique you don't know and is still limited by your profession's max tech rank. You perform a limit breach as part of your cast action. You make a con save against a DC equal to 10 plus the technique's rank. If successful, you cast the technique. If you fail, the technique fails, and your TP is reduced to 0, and you gain 1 level of exhaustion.
So you can do a risk-reward thing of upcasting if you're low on TP.
I think the idea is you're free casting if you're low. But
Free casting or upcasting, because if you're gonna go, you might as well go big.
Which, if your TP is going to be that low, I'm not quite sure how I feel about the way Limit Breach is described here. And if Thaumaturge is the only one who really has it, I don't see why that couldn't be listed. Why this couldn't be listed out in the Thaumaturge section. But
they're the only ones who do it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, of course, for whatever reason, they added a feat that would allow you to limit breach, which they don't.
Let's see, a variant is force breaching. Casting an advanced technique or boosting a technique higher than rank 5 when you have already cast a technique at that rank before resting. This optional type of limit breach is only available to characters with the advanced techniques feature and only up to their max tech rank. When performing a force breach, you expend the TP required to cast the technique, then make a saving throw using your tech ability against a DC equal to 8 plus the technique's rank. On a successful save, you cast the technique. On a failed save, the technique fails, you lose the expended TP and take 1d6 psychic damage per rank.
You know, I think I would honestly just waive the limitation.
Yeah.
Because I still find it stupid that, oh, I cast a 5th rank technique. I can't do another 5th rank.
6th.
Or you know what I mean.
Yeah. And I get the idea with this kind of thing of overcasting. The question I have is, in most cases where you have this sort of overcasting, why not just have it that you cast and then you have to make a con save? You fail.
Or you cast and you sacrifice HP instead.
Pretty much.
Like, not on a 1-for-1 either. I think you should spend more HP than you would TP in order to make it so people aren't just casting out of their asses.
I can state, when it comes to Legend Edition, I have that as a feat.
What's a feat? I don't think anyone in Phantasy Star has ever heard of such a thing.
What's a paladin?
Not again.
But
we still have components!
There is a basic combat feat in Legend Edition called Life Stream, where you can use HP instead of MP on a 2-to-1 ratio for spells.
Why do we still have components?
Why? When has that ever happened in any of the games?
Never.
I can't think of a single time where components were... The closest thing is some type of focus, like a rod, and that's not a component.
They consider that a static component. And then there's perishable components, which have... perishable components have a monetary value assigned to them and are carried in a component case. Since when?
This feels like the sole reason it's here is because this is a rule set based on 5e.
Wait, hold on. None of these techniques that I'm looking at even have a component cost. Why are you even mentioning it?
Tradition! Tradition!
Tradition. Ah, here we go. Here we go. I found one that specifically has a component. And the component is you need to have a melee mastery weapon because it's a guardian technique.
Okay.
But I already have a melee mastery weapon if I'm a guardian.
What the hell? Now, concentration works more or less the same way as it does in 5e, and I fucking hate it. Let's see, the effects are more or less the same. The area of effects are more or less the same. Attack rolls and saving throws we already covered.
So odd.
Combining effects is just what happens if spells are stacked. In which case the most potent effect or the highest bonus is the one that takes precedent.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these spells here are straight up from the 5e book. Some of them are not. I will state right from the gate, I am not a big fan of putting all of the spells in one big ass list like this. At the very least, separate them by rank or theme or something. I hated the whole big ass list in various forms of D&D. I hate it in Pathfinder, and I hate it here.
What in the nine hells is this? So, when it lists the components, it's either a weapon that you are logistically wielding because you are that class, or it's just a shit ton of Maceta. It's lazy.
Not to mention, it's something that doesn't fit the source material.
It really doesn't.
Doesn't at all.
Like the closest thing I can think of is maybe. Do you remember the skill system that was in Phantasy Star 4?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like that kind of thing where you had charges and you had to get them back at an inn. I ended up asking this last week, but I'm like, why didn't that system get put in here?
Might as well.
That's a great question.
But
That's a great question.
But then we have the combo techniques. As an action,
Which I'm glad they put in.
Yeah. As an action on their turn, a character can spend 2 fate points to cast a combo technique, allowing one or more willing allies to act on the same place in the initiative order. You have to be at least level 6 before you can cast a combo technique. You have the director and the participant. Each participant must take the action described in the combo technique. They can't take any other actions during their turn, but can still move and take reactions and special actions as normal. Characters who cast or participate in a combo technique can't do so again until the start of the next round. The effectiveness of it is determined by the average level of the participants. And the average level determines the TP cost, determines the maximum range of the technique, the area of effect, and damage. And combo techniques have a minimum average level, the amount of characters required for it, and known techniques. The DC for any saving throw is equal to the director's tech save DC plus the participant's tech ability modifier. If there's multiple ones, use the highest. I probably would house rule it that you use the highest plus 1 for each additional participant after the first.
Yeah, there needs to be some kind of boost if everyone's working together.
Or if you have more than 2 people.
Yeah.
So combos break concentration, characters have to be within line of sight, have to meet the physical requirements, and any active conditions apply. Then we have a list of the different techniques, starting with the Blago. And now some of the idea with combos is nice. Where I think they may have gone off the rails with this is having specific combo techniques with their own requirements. This is something I feel that should be a little more freeform than that.
Just a bit. Like, I think what I would do if I was running this is have people take a look at the options here, and if they wanted to, come up with their own. And I would reward them for imagination and ingenuity.
Mm-hmm.
Because it gives you already the TP cost of the average level, range, etc., all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, none of these actually change the damage, just the damage type, or some minor, or some special bit to the said combo technique.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I'll be honest, when I first played Phantasy Star 4, I didn't even know about combo techniques until someone told me about them. At which point I'm like, I've been playing the game without combo techniques all this time? What the heck?
I found out by chance.
But I think we are seeing something that is going to be a major factor in the final assessment when we get to that point. That being that there's far too many things in here that feel like they're there for the sake of D&D tradition rather than using the skeleton of the D20 system and building it around Phantasy Star.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And I do remember when I did that tweet thread a few days ago, someone did bring up the oddity of how shields are utilized. Now that I've actually looked at it, I can see why that was brought up.
Yeah. Like, why have bonuses by grade for everything else, but not shields?
Mm-hmm. And furthermore, why not have armor masteries or just something so that armor has some distinctiveness?
Like, they do all of this focus on the weapons, which I understand, but give armor and shield something.
Yeah, and to illustrate what I meant earlier, I finally got it to work. Every weapon in Tales of the Valiant had one or two weapon options. Only a handful only had one. and they were usually simple weapons that did. But for example, a longsword in that had disarm and hamstring as weapon options.
Mm-hmm.
A maul had bash and disarm. Which also was the same thing with the warhammer. Um, whereas a scythe has pull and trip. And remember what I said earlier, for most characters, they have to pick between doing the weapon option or doing damage. Fighters can do both. I do not understand why there needed to be this limitation of one mastery option for each individual weapon type, and why some weapons are regarded as variants instead of just their own weapon type. Because the weapon list that we saw was pretty small. Like, it was white box
Very
small.
lackluster. Yeah.
And I do think that there
I
is
expect
potential.
something bigger.
Yeah, I do think there's potential for customization within the weapon grade system, but not the way that they did it.
Yeah. I don't know. The equipment and the way that they handle even like the spells in a lot of ways kind of disappoints me.
Now, maybe
Not spells, techniques,
Yeah.
but still.
well, at the end of the day, they very much are. But
Yeah.
at the and maybe it's just me, but you can feel free to correct me. The issue with the way they have techniques here is that they are designed far too much like spells, even with the TP cost. And the material components are things that are either lazy or make no sense, or just don't fit Phantasy Star.
Like at the end of the day, Fantasy Star with their techniques are done instantly. There's very little charge up time unless there's some kind of
Mhm.
charging weapon thing that I misremember from PSO. I don't know, but like for the casting itself, there was no charge time. You don't hold it, nothing like that.
No.
You just do it.
Yes.
So
It's wham bam. Thank you, man.
yeah, and so what I'm trying to look for, and I can't seem to find it, is just gameplay of a Force from PSO. Not PSO 2, not Portable, not New Genesis, OG PSO. I'm not having much luck finding it. But
My memory is absolute shite, okay? But if I remember correctly, with any of the techniques of Force used, you got to choose. You basically had a number that you could do, and they were either the kind that you just shoot off, and you could miss because there was no auto lock for the spells, if I remember correctly.
yeah, I'm looking at it now.
So you
There's no wind up or anything like that.
No. And you could spam them and use up all of your TP if you were so inclined to do so.
Which certainly makes sense because I mentioned this at the start. One of the big influences for Phantasy Star Online, I think Sonic Team outright admitted as such, is Diablo.
Hmm.
Interesting.
And even Diablo doesn't have any kind of long-lasting spells that concentrate. They're just do it, and if it has if it lasts for several moments, it'll last for several moments, irregardless of whether or not you're hit.
if you've got the fuel, it goes off.
Exactly.
But I feel like things like components and the limited effect of advanced spells is there more as a D&D conceit rather than a Phantasy Star conceit. And from what I saw of the advanced spells, the advanced techniques, I didn't see a whole lot that would necessitate having that one charge of those ranks.
Like, hold on, let me see if I can find one. Foresight, rank 9. Touch a willing creature and bestow a limited ability to see the immediate future. Lasts for 8 hours. Okay, cool.
I'm looking at one here. Glamour, rank 8. Casting time action, range 60 feet. Duration is concentration, up to 1 hour. A creature you can see within range must succeed on a wisdom save or be charmed by you for the duration. The target has advantage on the save if you or your allies are fighting it. The target repeats the saving throw whenever it takes damage, ending the effect on itself on a success. You have a telepathic link with the charmed target. This is basically charm.
Mm-hmm.
And I did mention this earlier. A lot of the spells that we saw have the air of D&D spells. Now, obviously some of the spells here are named straight from the games, but you've got a bunch of others that are like, why is this here?
Oh, look, here's a prime technique. Ah, yes, I remember when they cast Friends. Which Phantasy Star was that again?
None of them. And
It's very weird.
yeah,
Like, a lot. Some of these don't even try to sound like they're coming from Phantasy Star. Frostbeam.
that's just Ray of Frost. That's fucking Ray of Frost.
It's literally Ray of Frost.
No, or things like open or petrify. Not to mention, I mentioned this last week, but I've never been fond of the notion of giving a specific spell list to each individual class that uses spells. I feel like that creates more problems than it solves. Because when you add on new spells, and that will happen, whether it be by house rule or otherwise, then you have to list off, okay, what rank do certain classes get that? Whereas if you used a thematic spell list, you don't have that problem. And I know that's the case because Tales of the Valiant outright does that. and so does Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
Mm-hmm. Like, just... It's not even the way that they're listing them, it's just some of this is just incredibly lazy. I don't know, it feels like it falls short.
I'm trying to figure out if it's a case of laziness or a case of being paralyzed by tradition.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Oh, look. Missive. That lovely Phantasy Star spell. It's a prime technique.
Now, I know...
Yeah, it's just sending. It's literally just message.
I know some people may look at the spells that I put in Legend Edition and say not all of those were in the games, which is technically true. There are a bunch of ones that were additions, but those additions were either based on ones from previous Final Fantasy TTRPGs, or ones that are still in the theme,
Mm.
like the body series spells, like Blaze Body, for instance, which is a black magic spell that basically turns you into a fire elemental for a few rounds. It's not outright called that, but it may as well be. Or things like the fire resistance spells, which is just giving damage protection fire for a set of rounds. You just lose it if you take ice damage in that instance. You know, there's the additions that I have in Legend Edition still fit within the theme. Whereas, what is Phantasy Star about message?
Like, the closest you get to message, it's not even a technique. You're in a sci-fi adventure. Give people communicators.
But
You don't need to make it a prime technique.
the bottom line here is that the techniques here that we have, this is why I said, because the thing is, the team behind this is a talented team, but I feel like they have been taking a square peg in a round hole attitude when it comes to this, trying to force the standard D20 system into the setting instead of the other way around.
Like, a part of me kind of understands. You want to have something that feels like it can fit in the world and is more than just battle spells or techniques. Because at the end of the day, if there are techniques for fighting, healing, and support, there should also be techniques that fill other options as well for like communication, things like that. I get it. I do. Or you could just make items for it and not have to have someone fall under the trap of toolbox caster.
Yeah. And when I think about, say, the abilities that forces have in online, or some of the casters, even in the video games, I do recall that there were non-combat uses for several spells.
Mm-hmm.
But there was definitely no material component when it came to spells. Although I do like the casters kits. I will give them that.
Yes.
There just needs to be more of them.
When it comes to the Meseta cost for the we just said it.
Caster kit?
Components.
Oh, components.
No, components. Like, a part of me is the only part of me that is incredibly disappointed in that, aside from the fact that like a 6th rank technique has a perishable component cost of 5,000 Meseta in order to deal 5d6 fire and radiant damage. Like, what the fuck? But the big part of that is, at least D&D made all of their spell components, when it needed a material component, a pun. or related in some way, shape, or form. This one is just throw money at the problem. And there you go.
As a fan of several sports teams that are not doing all that great, I've seen how reliable throw money at the problem is.
Yep.
But
Those guys, thanks for having me, but I have to dip.
no worries,
Okay.
we're about to wrap up. Oh.
You
I
take
have
care.
to go take care of my parents tomorrow. Take them to the hospital.
But
Take care, guys.
So next week we'll be getting into the final bits, namely covering vehicles, some of the GM tools, and giving our final thoughts. Though I think I know what grade I'm going to be giving the game overall, but I will be fair. When this time next week, I will look at everything as a whole to make my assessment. That being said,
Sounds fair.
I think I know where I'm going to put it, but I won't say that until next week. I'll hold off for now. And of course, tomorrow will be the finale for our look at Draw Steel, looking into some of the mechanics within the Monsters book instead of the Heroes book, which we finished last week. And I will be interviewing Felix Isaacs on his upcoming project. And of course, on Sunday, keep an eye out, because just before the Record of Swordforged Worlds, I'll be getting interviewed by the Untold Destiny folk regarding Legend Edition. And I don't know when we'll do it, but at some point in the future, I feel like we should explore converting Phantasy Star into Legend Edition, because fuck, it can't get worse.
True. And you know, that would actually be enough of an excuse for me to try and replay Phantasy Star.
But
It's a great series.
yeah,
Of course it is.
but that is a bridge we will cross when we get to it. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.
Goodbye.
Soi, 上洛な情少年